Hi there, good evening. Hope you had a great Sunday. And now it's time to look forward to the coming week. Welcome back to this week's special edition of Looking Forward. The show is about stories that are shaping up over the coming days and weeks and months sometimes. News that is developing and would have consequences for your life and mine, and yet have topicality and impact our choices. Stories that shape India's and world's politics and economics going forward. So let's get going. Tonight's show is special, for we not only look forward to the coming week, but do some crystal ball gazing over the coming year as well. Remember, this is the last edition of 2025. Sunday of 2025. How 2026 is going to be when it comes to India's politics and economy, India's national security and foreign policy, elections and more. Story number one tonight is on the exercise of democracy that we are going to see in 4 states: Assam, Bengal, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, and the Union Territory of Puducherry. These are big ones and would have a major impact on national politics. Story number 2 focuses on the meeting of the Defence Acquisition Council that takes place this very week. India is refurbishing its war machine on the go. Are we anticipating Operation Sindoor 2.0? That's the focus. And story number 3 is going to take you into the world of geopolitics, with President Trump holding 2 key peace meetings at his Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. That's tonight and tomorrow. One with President Zelensky over Europe, and second with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel over the Gaza peace plan. And finally, story number 4 on India's Goldilocks moment. With the economy firing on all cylinders, would the tailwinds be used by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to make a dash to that $5 trillion mark in 2026? Let's begin with the headlines. A direct impact of Republic campaign. The Supreme Court takes up Aravali case suo moto. 3-judge special vacation bench led by Chief Justice of India, Justice Surikant, to deliberate the matter. This is after concerns were raised over the recent redefinition of the Aravali Hills, potentially opening it up to mining and environmental degradation. After Republic TV's extensive media campaign and ground reports on the recent controversy and Supreme Court proceedings regarding the definition and protection of Aravali Hills, the SC takes a relook at the Aravali definition. A big victory for the people. Republic welcomes the court decision. The Supreme Court takes up the Aravali matter suo moto following nationwide public campaign as Republic TV uncovered shocking illegal mining in the hills with live footage of trucks halting operations and switching off lights upon the team's arrival in pitch dark post-sunset zones, defying safety regulations. All eyes now on the SC hearing that takes place tomorrow. The Supreme Court also to hear CBI's special appeal against suspension of life sentence granted to Kuldeep Singh Sengar on Monday. That's tomorrow again. A 3-judge bench led by Chief Justice of India, Justice Surikant, to review the CBI's challenge to the High Court's order, which granted Sengar bail with conditions including a 15 lakh personal bond and restrictions on approaching the survivor. And Hindus targeted yet again in Bangladesh. This time the attack comes from Pirojpur, where Hindu homes were reduced to ashes in the dead of night. 3 of those were gutted by fire in West Dumritala village of Pirojpur Sadar Upazila in the early hours of Saturday, leaving families devastated and raising serious questions over minority safety in the country. All right, welcome back. 2026 is going to be a politically significant year for the people of Assam, Bengal, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, as also the Union Territory of Puducherry. Taken together, about 20 crore citizens of the country would exercise their franchise and choose their state governments for the next 5 years. Assam and Bengal are border states with Bangladesh. Kerala and Tamil Nadu form the southern arc of national politics. Here are the details.
"2026 opens with a politically hectic calendar. Come March, the states of Assam, Bengal and Tamil Nadu and the Union Territory of Puducherry would be election-bound. Assam, with 126 legislators, has to get a new assembly in order before May 20th. West Bengal Assembly has its present term expiring on May 7th. For Tamil Nadu, the date is May 10th, before which it should get a new house. For Kerala, the term ends by May 23rd, 2026. And the Union Territory of Puducherry could see that happening by June 16th. The Election Commission of India would club the polls with March, April as likely months to see the campaign and the voting.
बिहार ने बंगाल में भाजपा की विजय का रास्ता भी बना दिया है.
But the momentum is already building up. Let's begin with Assam.
We have all along discussed the chicken neck. Yes. But have we ever discussed who are the people in the chicken neck? Everybody who is there in the chicken neck and in the 10-kilometer vicinities of chicken neck in the Indian side, everybody have come from Bangladesh.
The Assam's Chief Minister has set the agenda for the state. Demography is the name of the game.
This is not a general election. This is an election fight for civilization. Because, entire demographic change has happened in entire Assam and Northeast. We are in that type of position. Every moment, some immigrants, some unknown person always try to dominate our civilization. So this is not an election. This is an election for secure our civilization. So in the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, we are trying to protect our civilization.
Those are loaded words from the BJP, but what's the truth?
In Assam, the demographic question is not an abstract theory or an ideological slogan. It is a lived reality observed village by village, riverbank by riverbank, from the chars of Lower Assam to the border police station in Dhubri, from land disputes in Borpeta to cultural anxiety in Upper Assam towns. Demographic change has shaped everyday lives for decades. The Assam movement and the Assam Accord were not academic exercises. They emerged from, genuine fears of political marginalization. What the NRC process did was not to resolve the issue, but to transform it from agitation to administration, from protest to paperwork. Today, voters are not asking who will remove whom. They are asking who will manage the borders, the land, the language, and identity without tearing the social fabric of derailing development. So demography now works as a trust filter, cultural confidence in Upper Assam, land and encroachment anxiety in Lower Assam, language security in Barak Valley, and safeguard concerns in Tribal Belt. The dominant voter instinct today is risk management and choosing the least destabilizing option for a sensitive border state.
And from Assam to Bengal, the debate remains the same. The BJP has picked up the issue of Bangladeshi infiltrators strongly in the light of developments in our neighborhood.
24 साल में आप जो जीता, कौन वोट लेके जीता, कौन वोटर लिस्ट लेके जीता? बीजेपी सरकार। अगर ये लिस्ट झूठा है तो आपका सरकार भी झूठा है. अगर एक भी आदमी का लोग नाम बात गया तो बीजेपी का गवर्नमेंट तोड़ के छोड़ेंगे.
BJP has challenges.
As far as the BJP is concerned, the BJP will have a great leadership challenge because there is not a credible leader who can take on Mamata Banerjee. Even though Subhendu Adhikari and Shamik Bhattacharya are trying their level best, but at the end of the day, there will be no match for the charisma and the effort which Mamata Banerjee is going to give.
And certain issues in favor.
Even though some things are going in his favor, like the SIR and the communal issues by which the Hindu votes are being polarized, but BJP will have a very tough time this time. But it's going to be a tough fight in this election for both the BJP and the TMC.
Bengal might become a battle of four M's: Mamata, Modi, Muslims and Matuas.
The BJP has already positioned itself as the opposition, as the number one opposition. But having said so, it would be a tough fight for the BJP, because if you see the last elections, the BJP count has come down from 18 Lok Sabha seats to 12 Lok Sabha seats. There is a difference in vote percentage which has come down from 46% to 39%. And given the aggressive campaigning which Mamata Banerjee and Abhishek Banerjee will be doing, BJP faces an uphill task.
Let's look at the South now.
सबसे पहले मैं तमिलनाडु की धरती पर महान तमिल भाषा में बात नहीं कर पा रहा हूं, इसलिए आप सभी की क्षमा मांगता हूं.
The language issue is hot, perhaps the hottest.
Language politics is always a politics, whether it is Hindi or Tamil or Hindi imposition, or that is why Prime Minister Narendra Modi has introduced a Kasi Tamil Sangamam in Varanasi, where Tamil was taken to Banaras. Therefore, the national integration was to happen. My understanding is regional language issues are very sensitive, emotive. It will create a type of feelings. Therefore, it is not an election issue at all.
Language is a very important issue in Tamil Nadu. Tamil is a very cherished language. Tamilians love Tamil more than any other people love their language. But they're sure it can be protected. And it's a language in active use everywhere. People are aware that the Dravidian parties, whether it's ADMK or the DMK or Vijay or even the Congress, will not in any way touch the role and primacy of Tamil in Tamil Nadu. So it will not have much of an impact. It's there as an issue, but no impact separate.
And then the alignments coming together of the AIADMK and the BJP.
2024 parliament elections, the same ADMK and BJP fought each other. Now suddenly you have asked them to go in for an alliance. It is not just pure chemistry. We are human beings on the ground. We have to see how it turns out. Tamil Nadu is headed for a triangular contest. For a long time, there has been no such contest in Tamil Nadu. It has been largely two front. So it's a new thing. We have to see. We can't just speculate. It's enough. ADMK has also become weakened. Many leaders have left. Very important leaders like Sen Gotian have gone over to Vijay.
And then there's the third corner this time. Actor Vijay and his TVK.
You see, the BJP, ADMK alliance will all have the same old leaders. The DMK and the front will largely have the same leaders going in for election. So anybody who is new and is an aspirant, he will go to Vijay. So Vijay would be a fact.
From Tamil Nadu to neighboring Kerala.
Congress has won in some of the municipal corporations in Kerala, and they are also doing well in Kerala assembly elections.
The BJP is gung-ho after storming to power in Thiruvananthapuram municipal corporations for the first time.
Our work starts today, and the first big milestone will be the development of the next 5 years, year by year, milestone-based blueprint for the development of the city in the first 45 days. And once that is done, we hope to invite the Prime Minister to come and announce this blueprint and the next 5 years plan. And then the work will start with the active support of the Government of India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji.
Congress smells power. If the campaign is going to be at the same time, what are the common issues?
India Alliance is dead in all India level, especially in Kerala level. Congress is showing up very well. Congress has got internal problems, Shashi Tharoor, now Digvijay Singh type of things. But Congress will do well. CPM will be routed this time in Kerala. But India Alliance as such will not take off either in Kerala or at the national level, because India Alliance is a stillborn baby. There is no head, no leg, no hand, no eyes, no nose. Now in the SIR also, all the state governments has accepted. Vote chori is not accepted by DMK, TMC, even Uddhav Thackeray, who joined with his brother Raj Thackeray. They don't consider vote chori an issue, and Tejasvi has given a political slap to Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Do not raise vote chori in Bihar. Therefore, vote chori issue is dead.
Anti-incumbency.
In Assam has never applied anti-incumbency mechanically. It has applied it conditionally based on whether the state feels governed or adrift. We have seen long incumbencies before, most notably between 2001 and 2011, when continuity was preferred after years of instability. Under Chief Minister Dr. Hemanta Biswa Sharma, governance has been personalized, visible and assertive, a style Assam historically values.
Or the alliance factor in Tamil Nadu.
Right now, it is local governance. Right now, it's personalities of Tamil Nadu. And that is what matters. Alliances. Nothing else matters now in Tamil Nadu.
Mamta's charisma versus BJP's Ghuspetia push.
The political challenge in Bengal is now going to be heated with the elections coming up. For the TMC, it is corruption and anti-incumbency, SIR, internal rivalry and factionism in the TMC. And biggest of all would be the communal issues in Murshidabad. This is what the TMC is going to face.
Eye on the victory in Bihar, the BJP's election machine would defend turf in Assam and challenge Mamta in Bengal.
Before considering contesting in assembly, BJP, especially Mr. Amit Shah, does social engineering and also ensure that 1,400 to 500 voters of particular booth should be personally contacted and they should go to the polling booth on the polling day. Therefore, what you question me is very apt for BJP. It is nothing with other political parties like Congress or any other regional parties. Only BJP has got that strength.
This then is the potpourri of issues that sets the agenda. Assam, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. First half of 2026 is going to see these states set the political agenda for the rest of the country.
All right, looking ahead, India's defense journey is entering a decisive phase. The focus now is not just on responding to today's challenges, but on preparing for tomorrow's battles. Battles that will be faster, smarter, and more technology-driven. As key decisions await clearance and new capabilities move closer to induction, the emphasis remains clear. Build at home, integrate smartly, and stay ahead of evolving threats. The Defense Acquisition Council meets this week with a long list of weapon platforms purchases on the agenda. You can expect fierce psychosis gripping the enemy as India unspools Operation Sindoor 2.0 laundry list.
The year ahead will not just be marked by dates on a calendar, but by decisions that could redefine India's defense might. But a major leap for Operation Sindoor 2.0.
As far as the government is concerned, Operation Sindoor is not yet over. It is just paused. If you want to avoid for war, you have to prepare for the war.
Operation Sindoor was not just a mission. It was a message.
What we have seen in Operation Sindoor, the air defense system is become very important. You know, when our basically missile rockets and drones have gone deep inside Pakistan, their air defense system failed completely. But when their drones, missile rocket came inside India, they could not penetrate our integrated air defense system.
Drones replaced boots on the ground. Electronic warfare decided who sees first and strikes first. The world is rearming. So is India. Ranking alongside US, China and Russia in defense spending, 6.81 lakh crore rupees, that's the size of India's defense check in budget 2025-26, the highest ever. And the Ministry of Defense is clear, security needs more than symbolism. The Defense Acquisition Council, led by Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, is set to meet this week. Big-ticket defense proposals are on the table and major decisions are expected. Embraer-based AEW aircraft for integration with India's indigenous Netra AWACs. Medium-range surface-to-air missiles for the Indian Army. Medium-range surface-to-air missiles for the Indian Navy. Astra Mk2 beyond visual range air-to-air missiles, IF seeking emergency clearance. Replenishment of precision-guided munitions to restock expended stocks. Pinaka extended range rockets. Purchase of 6 mid-air refueler aircraft. Lease of Sea Guardian hail drones as a precursor to larger 31-unit acquisition. Akash family surface-to-air missiles modernization. AI-powered anti-drone defense system. QRSAM highly mobile short-to-medium range air defense systems.
DAC is the highest decision-making body in the country, and most of the procurements that are capital in nature go to the DAC for approvals. Over the last few years, we have seen a gradual shift, but a very, very pronounced shift towards indigenous acquisitions. Most of the stuff that we are now sourcing is from indigenous people. There are two things that has happened because of this. Firstly, it has empowered indigenous supply chains to kind of gear up, and the Indian vendors to deliver very high quality things which they were always capable of. They just needed this kind of inflection to start delivering. And the second thing, it has also prompted a lot of foreign vendors who were selling stuff in India to start making strategic collaborations within India through way of joint ventures, teaming partnerships and strategic partnerships to bring high class technologies into the country, thereby uplifting the entire level of industry here, and it has also led to a huge spurt in exports.
The focus is on Indianization, modernization of defense forces with the way we can depend upon Indianization. Now, as far as the army is concerned, there are a number of things which are online. One is that homegrown air defense system for Delhi and NCR, procurement of about 80 to 8,000 to 800 loitering ammunition, basically to improve our drones capability, and then we have to overhaul 200 of T-90 tanks. That's basically which we are looking for army. In addition to that, also Pinaka missile, which normally has a range of 45 to 80 kilometer. We now trying to have Pinaka, which is about the range of 200 kilometer, and it can fire from the same launcher which was used earlier in 45. 80 kilometers.
Taken together, 2026 is likely to be an year when India's military muscle begins to visibly harden. The skies to the seas to the silent depths beneath them. A wave of firepower is on the horizon. At the heart of the air power push, Tejas Mk-1A.
One has to understand in the recent conflict, Operation Sindoor, the role and importance of Indian Air Force. Indian Air Force has played a decisive role along with the other two services, that is the Army and Navy. Recently, government has sanctioned around 67,000 crore rupees, roughly it becomes 8 to 9 billion, out of which major chunk, as far as the news is concerned, going to the Indian Air Force. Indian Air Force on one side looking for the procurement of Tejas Mark 1A aircraft in a large number. Another side, Indian Air Force require mid-air refuelers as well as certain missile systems which are required for these aircraft or the system existing within the Air Force. We have Su-30s, now we have Rafale, along with the other aircraft. All aircraft are capable for the mid-air refueling. So it's a requirement, because once you get the mid-air refueler, the range and capability of these aircraft increases multifold.
After years of waiting, the Indian Air Force is set to receive its first batch, at least 5 jets by the end of the next financial year. A 1.1 lakh crore rupees commitment for 180 indigenous fighters. Early 2026 will see the commissioning of Aridaman, India's third nuclear-powered ballistic missiles submarine. With this, India strengthens its nuclear triad, a club only a handful of global powers belong to. Advanced Project 17A frigates will join the Navy by late 2026. The first locally assembled C-295 transport aircraft rolls out of Baroda. Alongside the next-gen Akash missiles, long-range rockets, ISR drones, and loitering munitions built for precision, persistence, and pressure. With nearly 60 warships under construction and a clear march towards Atmanirbharta by 2047, India is re-engineering its deterrence.
We find a lot of startups have come into the game, and they have really come up with some very good indigenous products of very high quality and of very critical kind of importance to the battlefield. Simultaneously, the government has encouraged increasing these kind of technological enterprises through various platforms like the Technology Development Funds and the IDEX platform, which is very popular. So when all of this happens, you are able to produce good military products. The Pinaka is a purely designed, developed indigenous weapon system, and it is performed remarkably well. The initial Pinaka that was inducted into the army had a range of about 45 kilometers. The platform is so successful and the technology is so robust that over the years we decided to actually extend this range, and therefore we went through various phases of building up to 70 kilometers and now up to 120 kilometers. This particular thing will give a very big boost to the Indian rocket artillery. Globally, the Pinaka weapon system is such a cost-effective weapon system that a lot of countries have envisaged interest in it, and this could also possibly be a very good product for boosting our exports.
From startups to shipyards, from skies to strike rockets, India's defense story is being rewritten at home.
I think no country can become a powerful country by importing arms. And therefore, Prime Minister Modi's push for Atmanirbhar Bharat, it is absolutely, no other sector is as important as defense because it's a very expensive system. It's all expenditure and we used to buy everything. But now things have changed for the last about 10 years. We are not only making for ourselves, though 100% is still some distance away, but we are making whatever is possible, and also we are exporting to our very friendly countries.
First of all, we have to understand the 5th generation or 6th generation. These are the words which very often prevalent in the media and people are using it. It has to be understood in the correct perspective. The capability of aircraft or system as a whole to be considered as far the generation of aircraft is concerned. Indian Air Force along with our HAL and other concern, we are developing the aircraft. Now Tejas, Mark II as well as MCA is under development. And I'm sure that in the coming days, these aircraft will certainly meet our requirement vis-a-vis to our adversaries.
What began as a push for self-reliance has now become a strategic advantage. As the DAC meets this week, the focus is no longer short-term purchases, but long-term power. The building capabilities, anticipating threats, staying ahead of the curve.
Right, moving on. At the start of this year, India stood proud as the 5th largest economy of the world. Today is the 4th, and by the end of 2026-27, India is projected to be 3rd, only behind the United States and China. While 2025 globally will be remembered as the year of tariffs, for India, it will be remembered as a year of resilience, where against all odds, it managed to clock an 8.2% growth rate, give a historic tax cut to its middle class, and revamp the entire GST structure through consensus while battling a strengthening dollar and the highest US tariff in the world. And now, 3 days away from the New Year's Eve, the Indian economy is ready to soar again into a year that many economists are calling the year of revival. In between the tariffs tirade and the trade tussle, here is how India is all set to once again steal the top spot as the fastest growing economy of the world yet again in 2026.
With the second quarter growth rates jumping to 8.2% for 2026. The Indian economy has set its eyes on 2026 with one hope, the year of revival. While top economists and rating agencies are pegging India's growth at around 6.7%, RBI is bullish on the Indian economy, with a mega projection of 7.3% after the Q2 numbers. With consumer price inflation easing in 2025 to just 2.3% as compared to the 4.9% last year, it's the Indian consumers that are driving the Indian economy's growth engine since the GST bonanza announced ahead of Navratri in 2025. This, combined with the front-loaded policy rate cuts and liquidity injections, along with income tax rate cuts, the Indian economy is set for revival, even in the face of adverse tariffs policy.
The primary sector of growth in which India is looking forward is to the manufacturing. But besides, service sector continues to dominate the economic growth of India. I believe the way the investments are flowing in India, the way economy is projected to grow, and employment which we are looking forward to, manufacturing sector should be predominant in terms of growth numbers, but overall service sector will still continue to dominate.
So as far as the primary drivers are concerned, the first thing that everyone needs to understand is that growth is being driven essentially by consumption of the high-end consumers, meaning the top 10-15% of the population, and not by investment, which is a problem. So the risk factor is obviously built in there. But talking about high-end consumption, that's going to drive to some extent growth, but for that reason, because high-end consumers account for only 10 to 15% of total consumers, there's a limit to how much they can drive growth.
However, the dollar question still looms for Bharat in 2026. The Indian rupee slid to around 89.85 against the US dollar by late December of 2025, marking an annual decline of nearly 5% amid a widening currency gap. As projections show, this gap can further widen to 90.58 rupees by September of 2026.
That is a matter of concern that Indian rupee is depreciating against the US dollar, and the demand of the US dollar increasing is a matter of concern looking to these economic parameters. So this will be one of the major issue to be dealt with in the budget 2026. How do we shape the economy so that the pressure on the dollar Indian rupee is not to that extent as it has happened in the year 2025.
You see, globally the dollar has weakened, but it's just against the Indian rupee that it appears to be strong. So the Indian rupee has weakened, and the rupee is now over 90 rupees per dollar. So we've got to look at not what happens to the US dollar, but more to how the rupee is behaving relative to the US dollar. So that's going to obviously mean that because the rupee is weaker, there's an opportunity for us to increase our exports. But, we've got to make sure that we are prepared to actually take advantage of the weaker rupee.
While the RBI is taking measures including dollar sales and government security purchases worth rupees 11.6 billion and a buy-sell currency swap of dollar and rupee upwards of $10 billion in early 2026, all eyes are on whether injecting liquidity and currency management can prevent the dollar to breach the 91 rupee mark. However, it's not just the monetary policy that will sail the boat of growth in 2026. On 1st February, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will return with her 9th consecutive budget for the Indian Republic, a record no other finance minister has held in Indian history.
These reforms have been carried out with a focus on the common man. Every tax levied on common man's daily use items have gone through a rigorous looking into, and in most cases the rates have come down drastically.
With India's gross GST collections for the month of November at around 1,70,276 crore, up by 0.7% year-on-year on the back of the GST bonanza, the Finance Minister will have a war chest unlike any before despite lower GST rates thanks to increased compliance. While India's trade deficit has increased significantly in April and October of 2025, reaching nearly $196.82 billion due to the tariffs pressure, exports too fell in October by 12%, while imports increased 16% year-on-year. In the interim, India's foreign exchange reserves have stood robust at around $693.32 billion. The trade challenge for the economy, however, remains crucial. Amidst this, the FY27 budget is expected to play a pivotal role in reinforcing India's economic expansion, with key focus on nurturing domestic demand.
We see that two major reforms have been carried out. One was the direct tax, where we had a new income tax act and concession which has been given in the corporate tax, and then later on the personal taxation, where income up to rupees 12 lakh has been exempted. Corporate tax are reasonably 22% plus surcharge. And then with GST, we made a mega changes in the month of September. But now what we are in an area which is left with the customs, where I believe there are some duties are to be rationalized. And these provisions of the customs which facilitate the ease of doing business. One area which I will prefer, and I think the government should focus, is third country import and export.
The primary focus is expected to remain on public capex, particularly in roads, highways, railways and urban development. The new Income Tax Act is further expected to boost compliance. Industry experts expect incentives for renewable energy, electric vehicles, battery storage systems and nuclear energy sector. While MSMEs hope for stabilization packages, enhanced credit guarantee schemes and export incentives to navigate global trade uncertainties. However, it's not just the handouts that can salvage the situation. It's the deals that India can ink to turn around the landscape. And that is where India's trade policy takes front seat in 2026 yet again.
It's also our third FTA with a Five Eyes nation: Australia, UK, and now New Zealand. We are soon going to launch discussions for the terms of reference with Canada also. And we are already at an advanced stage in our discussions with the USA.
With FTAs with the United Kingdom, the EFTA trade bloc, Oman and New Zealand signed or concluded in 2025. All eyes are now on 2026 and whether we can do the deal with the US and the EU.
So I'm doing a trade deal with India and I have great respect and love. As you know, for Prime Minister Modi, we have a great relationship.
While the fall of 2025 deadline has yielded no result, after 6 rounds of talks, the US Trade Representative is expected to resume talks in January with India after the holidays and after nearly a year-long tango for an interim trade agreement.
We were being told earlier in the year that by September of this year, an India-USA trade deal would have been signed. That's not meant to be a free trade agreement, it's a trade deal. So that would have been signed. We are at the end of the calendar year, we are nowhere close to a trade deal with the United States. Now, if India actually begins to give in on agri-tariffs with the EU, which it had sort of begun to do in respect of cotton with the United States, then, the government can expect a very severe backlash from India's farmers.
The world of tariffs is also going to keep changing, I think, in 2026 and in 2027. But for India, I think the way we have navigated in 2025, there have been several positives, especially the fact that we have not given our position up on agriculture imports into the country. We have to protect the farmers. There is no doubt about it. And why do we have to protect the farmers? It's not because they are weak. It's not because they are not competitive. It's because our regulations in the agriculture sector make our farming uncompetitive.
Meanwhile, on the European Union front, the ministry says that the talks are at an advanced stage, committed to an early conclusion.
Our friend Maroš and I are leaving no stone unturned to get some good outcomes. We just had very extensive engagements on Monday and Tuesday earlier this week. Given the political guidance and leadership of member states such as yourself, given Prime Minister Narendra Modi's own personal commitment to the EU-India partnership, I do believe we should be able to get this over the finishing line.
Trade deal with EU is very promising. It opens up a lot of markets for us. In fact, if we look at some of the analysis done by the Economist magazine, 4 or 5 of the fastest growing economies in the world are currently actually in the EU, because when you look at countries like Poland, Estonia, Uruguay, these countries are actually growing very fast. And even when you look at the Scandinavian countries, they might not offer a big market in terms of population, but in terms of purchasing power, these markets are extremely big. So even today, the EU markets are very, very attractive.
As India races to 2026, the numbers tell a story of roaring growth and rising risks. A booming GDP, but a bruised rupee. Record GST, but a high trade deficit that refuses to blink. Now it all comes down to the fine print. Will the budget of 2026 and the next wave of trade deals turn this year of revival into a decade of resilience? Or will India's growth story be held hostage to a slipping currency and a hostile global marketplace? The countdown has begun, and the world is watching which way Bharat bets.
Some tailwinds there for the finance minister as we head into the budget cycle. Moving on, the peace in Gaza is fragile, with both Israel and Hamas having been violating the ceasefire, or at least accusing each other of doing so. In Ukraine, President Putin's hell march continues. And while Trump has made significant progress in getting into rooms with these leaders, just and lasting peace deal still eludes the White House. Which is why this holiday season, Trump is giving his Florida estate, Mar-a-Lago, a chance. Zelensky is there and Netanyahu is on the way. Awaiting them both is Trump and his art of the deal. But will it be a New Year's dawn for the fate of these two nations that can bring in lasting peace? That's something the world is looking forward to. Kitna?
The war that he claimed would have never begun on his watch.
Biden actually pushed for that war to happen. Okay, if you can believe it. Nobody can believe it, but it's one of those things. And now look what happened. Look what's happened to Ukraine. It's a much smaller country. A lot of people are dead. You take a look at it's a whole different world over there. And
3 years, 11 months, 4 days on. Kyiv continues to be battered by Russian drones and missiles. Washington, that once looked confident, has now gone radio silent.
see, I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It will be done within 24 hours.
On January 20th, 2026, Trump will finish a year in the Oval Office for his second term and another year of the Ukraine war, this time on his watch. The Ukrainians have just one answer for Trump. They want peace.
The main Kiev's message to Trump that we're ready to discuss even controversial plan from you because we need peace. But this peace should be just peace. We don't need peace without justice. That's why we're ready to talk, we're ready to discuss, but we are not ready to capitulate.
Meanwhile, Russia has escalated the conflict further amidst the holidays with drone attacks on Ukraine's capital city. This came perhaps in reaction to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's meet with the US President Donald Trump in Florida on Sunday.
With NATO, with Trump's approach, security guarantees, and you see Putin and his team still putting up a fight about specific security guarantees. And then also the U.S.-European relationship needs to get better. And I can put blame on both parties, but Trump's got to work with the Europeans and the Europeans need to work with him. Trump needs to see Putin for what he is. And I don't think he's there yet, which is making the Europeans very nervous and myself nervous as well.
With Trump pushing deal first, guarantees later, and Europe demanding firm security assurances upfront, how will this Western split shape Ukraine policy in 2026? Does it strengthen Putin's hand or force the US to either lock in a serious security package or walk away from the peace talk theater? Amidst all this, Canada has pledged another USD 2.5 billion in economic aid to Ukraine, while Washington mulls its moves to use finance as leverage on Kyiv.
Under President Zelensky's leadership, we have the conditions, the possibility of a just and lasting peace. But that requires a willing Russia. And the barbarism that we saw overnight, the attack on Kyiv, shows just how important it is that we stand with Ukraine during this difficult time and that we create the conditions for this just and lasting peace and a true reconstruction.
For Zelensky, the bottom line is security guarantees from the US.
У нас буде зустріч з президентом Трампом, будемо говорити саме про ці речі. Гарантії безпеки для мене дуже важливі. Ми хочемо, щоб вони були абсолютно зрозумілі. І важливо, коли ми можемо їх мати. Ми це проговорювали із європейськими колегами. Тобто гарантії безпеки повинні бути одночасно з питанням закінчення війни. Тому що ми повинні бути гарантованими в тому, що Росія не почне знову агресію. Потрібні сильні гарантії безпеки.
One of the key discussion of the Florida meeting of Zelensky is going to be the 20-point plan of Trump, which can bring a 60 ceasefire for Ukraine. But the question of territorial concessions remains a point of disagreement. Zelensky now suggests a referendum. The Russians are not falling for Ukraine's referendum bargaining tactics. They have now taken control of Huleipor, the second largest city in the southeast region. President Putin has also reportedly said that Ukraine is not in a hurry to resolve this conflict peacefully, and that the Russian army is fully capable of resolving the issue militarily.
Но сегодня, судя по вашим докладам, судя по темпам, которые мы наблюдаем на линии боевого соприкосновения, наша заинтересованность в выводе украинских воинских формирований из занимаемых ими пока территорий фактически сводится к нулю. По разным совершенно соображениям. И если киевские власти не желают закончить дело миром, мы решим все стоящие перед нами задачи в ходе специальной военной операции вооруженным.
In fact, during With Trump and Putin's second summit nowhere in sight, Zelensky's escapades in Florida seem to be another round of Washington browbeating Kyiv into submission. However, Zelensky won't be alone. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu too is headed to Mar-a-Lago, facing a desperate Trump who is keen to take his Gaza peace plan forward. Unlike Ukraine, the Gaza plan has seen a ceasefire under Stage 1. However, Netanyahu is now dragging his feet on the second phase that could revamp Gaza Authority, disarm Hamas, and form a new council. Pressure is increasing in Tel Aviv on Netanyahu government. IWHD demands of an independent investigation into the October 7th attacks. However, families of hostages are asking Netanyahu to remain firm on his commitment.
אני עומדת כאן היום לא רק כאימא שנאבקת להשיב את בנה, אלא כמי שנלחמת על מימוש הערכים של המדינה הזו. ערכים שבגינם רני יצא פצוע כדי להגן על המדינה. הוזמנתי להצטרף לטיסתו של ראש הממשלה בנימין נתניהו לארצות הברית. ראש הממשלה נוסע להיפגש עם הנשיא טראמפ.
US wants to form a multinational peace council that can oversee the international stabilization and rebuilding of Gaza. Reports suggest that Egypt, Qatar, UAE, UK, Italy and Germany are expected to oversee this effort, with Trump keen to top in Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Netanyahu, however, is resisting the plan, as he is skeptical about Hamas's actual commitment to the disarmament. The 11-week ceasefire hasn't been a model of success either. With finger-pointing over ceasefire violations and aid blockages, Israel clearly has second thoughts on the peace plan. The problem in Washington this holiday season is no different to last year. The only difference? There are 2 deals on the table, but still no takers. 2026 is going to be a big year for the art of the deal. But the real question is, can Trump win? As a deal is only a victory if there is a peace worth living in. The world is ready, but for those in the crosshairs, the only question that matters is, how much more is the peace going to cost? Will 2026 be any different?
This is all we could pack in this edition of Looking Forward. Hope you have a lot to look forward to in 2026. We are, of course, back next week with a lot more to look forward to. Thanks for watching. News is back on the other side of a short break.
Ar pior, सूजी पास्ता